We're just going to start and have a look at your posture. Now I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see and I can demonstrate a bit more. You tend to get two types of people. You tend to get people that are either quite pigeon-chested and they walk unknowingly, it's not something that they're conscious of, and they tend to get a lot of back problems. So if you're one of those people that gets a lot of back problems, just think to yourself, do I walk with my ribcage a bit flared and my tailbone slightly out behind me? You also get those that are, sometimes when they're tall or they're a little bit timid, they tend to walk with hunched shoulders, rounded through and tilt the tailbone forward. Can you see the difference? Either extending or contracting. So what we need to do is try and find that middle point. So we've got to think about that tailbone going down. Now we naturally have a little bit of a curve in our spine anyway, so it's important that we don't completely flatten ourselves. But when we've got an overactive back, the muscles are quite lax. When we've got an overactive front, the back muscles aren't as strong as they can be. So the best thing we can do is just give yourself a little bit of a wobble through the knees, put your hands on your hips and just have a little rock through backwards and forwards. You can see your tailbone, really exaggerate that, your tailbone's coming forward. Really exaggerate your tailbone going back. It's almost like you're drawing a line with that tailbone so you can understand where your positioning is. Now think about that tailbone being below you, pulling up and thinking about each vertebrae stacking one on top of the other. Lifting out your body as though there's a string on top of your head. It's pulling you up nice and tall, but it's not just pulling your head up, it's actually pulling your rib cage up, pulling your head up, and you feel as though the vertebrae are equally stacked. Now when that happens, just have a look at your rib cage and see if it started flaring. So ideally you want to feel the bottom of your rib cage and you want to make sure that if you slide your hands down, it's in line with your hip bones. So if you're here and you take it down and the hip bones don't meet, you need to just tuck that under and bring it round. Okay. Also, when we stand up straight, I don't have much hair, it's very hard to tame. With the shoulders, we tend to have either that hunched position up and down, or that overextension through the chest. So again, if you're overextending, the chest is going to be too stretched, and the back muscles are overactive, and the same vice versa. So we want to make sure there's a balance of muscles in the front and the back of the body, all the way down the torso. So one of the things we can do to think about that is we have down the middle of our back, from the top of our neck to the middle back, a muscle, and we can pull it down. We can use the muscles. This is an over-exaggeration, because what I don't want you to do is pull the muscles too tight and put yourself in pain, put too much strain on your neck, because that can cause other problems. But what we do is we can lift them, we can draw them down, and then we can just loosen them off slightly. So now, so if I do that from the side, you can lift them, draw them down, make sure your rib cage back to normal and drop them down. Now if you straighten your arms, in this position you should be able to see a little bit of your bum, a little bit of your chest, and your fingertips should be able to point all the way down to the ground. Now if you're overextending, so let's do that. So if you overextend and you point in a straight line, you see your hands go behind you, and if you're hunched and you point in a straight line, you can see the hands are in front of you. So if you know if you're in the right place, make sure you get some movement. You're going to stay nice, straight. Think about it. What might happen is, because you're maybe so used to being in this position or being in that position, you may feel like one of these points while you're holding the correct positioning is active. So you might feel your tummy muscles are suddenly engaged, which is really important, because it just goes to show that those muscles haven't been as active as they could be to keep your body stable. So keep in a nice position. Now think about that. Think about that rib cage opening up, and imagine someone's underneath your rib cage and they're lifting your body up nice and tall. Let those shoulders round down, drop them, then into a nice loose position with your head, chin's level from the ground, and someone's underneath your ears and they're just lifting you up. You might notice if you think about someone lifting you, your tummy will suck in automatically without you pulling it in. It just engages in that way. Try not to put strain in the knees when you do it. Also, I try and mention this as often as I can to students, that when you're standing, you bring your feet together and take them out like ballerina or Charlie Chaplin, and then take your heels out. You're going to have a good hips distance apart. A lot of people think the hips are this far apart or this far apart. So to get that marker, whenever you're in a standing position, feet come together, we take them out, we drop them down. But as we age, people's knees tend to rock in. I know that's an over-exaggeration, but I do see students that are in this kind of position. The legs are straight, but their knees are inwards. So the way we counteract that is we always want an instep inside our foot. So we take the knees down, we take them out like we're going into a little plie, a little squat. You see the weights move to the edges of my toes, and we're going to pull it nice and straight. So now we're really rounding through the little toe. We're opening up from the hip. We've got that sensation of opening, and we've got an instep on the inside of the foot. We want an arch in the foot. So let's put all that together. Just give the knees a bend, open and come up. We're going to take a minute to find that tailbone position. We're going to pull up from underneath, up and around the shoulders, drop them down, but make sure they're not too tight. Head, give it a wobble. Imagine someone's underneath your ears, lifting yourself up, and hold. And in this position, if it's correct, you might feel you get a little bit more space in your lungs. Also, you're giving your digestive system better space to move. It's under less strain. So, long-term benefits of this are, one, your hip health's better, your balance is better, your walking is better, your knees are going to be able to take your weight better, your digestive tract is better, and your lungs are better. And then you start getting neck ache. And also, a little bit of anti-aging, lifting up